The sun hung low over Riverside County, casting long shadows across the dustiest ranch in 3 states. 12-year-old Miguel stood at the fence, his worn sneakers barely holding together, watching the magnificent black stallion pace inside the corral. Thunder, they called him. The horse had thrown 17 riders in 2 months, and even the ranch hands whispered that he was cursed. Miguel had come to the Henderson ranch that morning looking for work, any work. His mother's medical bills were piling up faster than he could count, and his father had left them 3 years ago without a word. When Mr. Henderson, the wealthiest rancher in the county, laughed at the sight of the skinny boy asking for a job, Miguel's face burned with shame. But then he saw Thunder, and something passed between them. A recognition, a knowing. You ever wonder if some connections are written in the stars before we're even born? Miguel felt it in that moment, standing there with dirt under his fingernails and hope dying in his chest. "I can ride him," Miguel said quietly. The words hung in the air like smoke. Mr. Henderson's laughter boomed across the yard, and soon the ranch hands joined in. The cook came out from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. Even the stable boy, barely older than Miguel himself, snickered behind his hand. They laughed because Miguel was small, because his clothes were too big, because he looked like he'd never seen the inside of a barn. They laughed because people always laugh at dreamers who don't know their place. Mr. Henderson wiped tears from his eyes. "Boy, that horse has broken the bones of men twice your size. Professional riders. Cowboys who've been in the saddle since before you were born." He shook his head. "You get near Thunder, and we'll be scraping you off the fence posts." But Miguel didn't move. He just kept looking at the horse, and the horse kept looking back. "One chance," Miguel said. "If I ride him, you give me work with real pay." The laughter died down. Mr. Henderson studied the boy's face, seeing something there that made him pause. Maybe it was the desperation. Maybe it was the quiet certainty in eyes too old for such a young face. "One chance," he agreed. "But when you fail, you leave and don't come back." Miguel climbed the fence slowly. His heart hammered against his ribs like it was trying to escape. Thunder snorted and stamped, his muscles rippling under his glossy coat. The ranch hands gathered around, some already pulling out their phones to record what they assumed would be a spectacular disaster. Miguel dropped into the corral, and the world seemed to shrink down to just him and the horse. He didn't approach like the others had, with ropes and authority and force. Instead, he stood there, breathing, letting Thunder see him. Really see him. "I know what it's like," Miguel whispered, though no one else could hear. "I know what it's like when everyone expects you to break." He took one step forward. Thunder's ears flicked. Another step, the horse's nostrils flared. Miguel kept talking, soft words in Spanish that his mother used to sing to him when the nights got too dark and the hunger too sharp. Words about mountains that touched the sky, about rivers that never stopped flowing, about hearts that refused to quit beating even when the world said they should. Thunder let him come close. Let him rest a hand on that powerful neck. Miguel felt the wildness there, the pain of a creature that had been broken too many times and refused to break again. He understood that. He lived that. Without thinking, he pulled himself up, no saddle, no bridle, just a boy and a horse that the world had given up on. The crowd held its breath. Thunder stood completely still for 1 heartbeat, 2, 3. Then he moved, but he didn't buck. He didn't rage. He walked forward, smooth as silk, responding to the gentle pressure of Miguel's knees, the shift of his weight. They moved together like they'd been doing this for years, like they'd been waiting their whole lives for this exact moment. Miguel guided Thunder around the corral in a slow circle, then faster, then into a gallop that sent dust flying and made the crowd gasp. When they finally stopped, both breathing hard, both alive with the same wild joy, no one was laughing anymore. Mr. Henderson stood there with his mouth open. The ranch hands lowered their phones. The cook crossed herself and whispered a prayer. Miguel slid off Thunder's back and pressed his forehead against the horse's neck. And Thunder, the untamable Thunder, nuzzled him back gently. "How?" Mr. Henderson finally managed. Miguel looked up at him, and for the first time that day he smiled. He just needed someone who understood what it feels like to be afraid, to be alone, to have everyone tell you that you're not enough. He stroked Thunder's mane. He didn't need to be broken, he needed to be seen. Mr. Henderson hired Miguel that day. Not just for odd jobs, but as Thunder's trainer, the only person the horse would allow near him. Miguel's mother got the medical treatment she needed. Thunder never threw another rider when Miguel was there to calm him first. And sometimes, late at night, when the stars came out over Riverside County, Miguel would sit by the corral and thank whatever force in the universe had brought him and Thunder together. Because sometimes the world doesn't need us to be strong or perfect or unbreakable. Sometimes it just needs us to see each other's pain and say, I understand, I'm here, you're not alone anymore. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear that they're enough exactly as they are. We all have a Thunder waiting for us. We all have a Miguel inside us. The question is, will we be brave enough to show up?